Hey guys, this video is just really quickly about what happened to me. Everyone who saw my Instagram story knows how much I struggled to be in Morocco, and I was only there for 2 days. Now I'm back in Spain now. I didn't sleep for 24 hours because I was just driving, and I don't even know how to process this whole thing. And I'm just glad that I'm back in Spain. My wallet got stolen. I have no driver license. I have no money. I have no credit card. I have nothing on me. Just some passport that I still have left that I was hidden in the car. And well, I cannot really. I'm a bit overwhelmed right now because it was just so recent. It was just some hours ago. I was all overwhelmed with the culture shock, with differences between the Europe and Africa. I mean, normally I'm really easy adapting person. I can live in any kind of condition, but when I went into Morocco, the first thing that of course I would do is to dress myself respectfully towards the country, not showing off too much or whatever. But at the same time, I felt like, whoa, this is extremely hot. And even when I was on the beach, like, I couldn't tan. But this is just small things, that's not that important. I mean, dressing up well and not tanning is not a big deal. The only big deal for me was that I just couldn't be myself. I just had to change into this person, adapting out of respect, which I would always do. And I couldn't be myself. But at the same time, I experienced really beautiful women who were really helpful and nice towards me, and also even some people who gave me food as a gift for free. So all that had just happened in 2 days, but I felt really inside that I couldn't be myself because of all the things that happened, of all the way I knew that people would look at me and I would drag so much attention. I didn't want to, because even if I was dressed up that way, the guys on the street, and there were mainly so many guys on the street sitting in the cafes or whatever and just making these noises like as if I was a dog. And of course I can ignore it. You pass by. But first of all, I'm not used to it, that when I walk a street for 5 minutes, just one street, that 10 different people approach me and they do all like ni hao, and doing all these noises. So already that was really hard for me to just say, okay, I'm gonna let this get off my chest really easily and just ignore them, because I'm just not used to it. And I felt like they made me feel so weak. I don't know if you know what I mean. I just felt really powerless just because of this really stupid comments. I'm never like this, I'm so strong, and I would never ever put myself into this victim position that I am right now. But I just want to tell you what happened. So I don't want any pity. I don't want nothing, because I'm not like that person who's crying in front of camera to get any kind of pity. But I just wanted to tell you, and I'm upset, and I'm here, and I just want to tell you about it. So yeah, I mean, first of all, it was that, and then for me to adapt to this and just to say, okay, I'm gonna ignore this, it was difficult for me. So I had a time when I was like, just couldn't take it anymore, and I leaked out in tears, and it was in Chefchaouen in the Blue City, you remember? So I don't know if you know it. So as I was there, I was walking down the street, and there were so many men just coming from all corners looking at me, and which okay, I understand, looks are looks, but I actually finally get now what the women say when guys look at you, that as if they would dress you down, and I was dressed like this, long pants and this shirt, nothing showing off, and still yet I would just get so many comments. And then what was really hard for me was then, because I just couldn't take it anymore. So I walked down the street, hide myself into like a little corner of a street, and I was sitting there just calling and talking how bad I would feel. Guys, I'm just kind of here, just hiding a little bit right now. I don't know. no one did anything to me, or no one ever pushed me. It's just I feel like I can't be myself. I feel like already I have to dress this way so I don't get too much attention, and yet still I get attention, and the people on the street just like and like doing this all the time to me. And just me being alone, it's hard because I cannot say anything, and I don't want to say anything towards it because I don't know, I don't want to be rude or I want to get into a fight or anything. But I just feel a little bit pressure. I just feel like I can't be myself, and I feel like that maybe if you travel with someone it might be easier, or maybe I'm just also overreacting. But it's hard for me because I already cover myself up with pants and shirt, although it's super hot and I'm not used to it, and I want to make myself feel good. So, and yet I can't still be myself without getting any comments, at least. And this is a little bit hard because I don't know how to handle it. And I'm always very trusting, and now when someone wants to show me the way, I feel I'm a bit cautious, although I normally never am, and I feel a bit cautious, which is also hard for me to. It's just I'm just now a bit conscious because I don't know, because the people say please don't go with strangers, and I don't want to go and don't want to do that, but at the same time it's hard to tell right now because it plays so much on my mind if that person is being nice and friendly or just trying to get something from me. And this is a little bit hard because I don't know how to handle it right now. I really don't want to be like crying and saying like that this place is bad or something. It's probably really fun. It's just for me really difficult to adapt that when you walk down the street and just the way I look, to get so many comments, and it doesn't matter where I go all the time. And I want to trust people, and like when they show me the way or lead me the way, I don't want to have second thoughts about, okay, be careful, maybe he wants to bring you somewhere and wants money for it afterwards, you know. And this is what the people say on the internet, but I don't want to be that way because it's really difficult for me, because this is not me, this is not the way I roll, to mistrust people at the first place, and this is just really hard. And I don't want to mistrust them, but it's like you just have to be so much more careful, and this is really, really hard for me right now, and everything is just not helping me either. And just crying a little bit, and then another guy came, and I felt with him he was really actually kind of friendly and just trying to cheer me up. So he was like, come on, cheer up, and we talked a little bit, and he's like, come on, my shop is just next door, you can sit there and maybe have a drink.
Oh, welcome.
Yes.
Welcome in the Blue City in Shafshawen.
And we're gonna drink some tea, right?
Yeah, the last name is called Leisha. Leisha is like, it means the dinner.
Oh,
Leisha. And when you people praying and going outside of the mosque, close the mosque and go and taking the dinner and sleeping after.
I'll make a tea. And then he gave me like a little game and everything, and then he got me tea and all that stuff, and he was really nice. And normally I'm really good feeling intuitionally vibes of the people. So skipping all that because I don't want to make it too long, we were just hanging out the whole evening, and we talked a lot about Moroccan tradition, about everything, because I don't judge. So I was curious to know what it all how it is and all these things. And then at some point he was like, okay, let's go, I can show you one spot that is really quiet and safe, and you can stay there. And I've done that a lot with many people before in Europe, that they would say, oh, let's go, we check out this space or whatever. And because I'm not that person who's mistrusting at the first place, you know. It's hard for me to think that way, and this was it was hard for me to be this person who mistrusts other people, and this is also what made me cry, because this is just not me. I'm not mistrusting people so much, and I don't want to. Even if some of you probably going to say, well, in the future you shouldn't be so naive, and whoever's going to comment those kind of things, I don't want to be that way, because I'd rather be an open person, and yeah, even if I sometimes fail with my intuition or whatsoever, I still don't want to be so cautious and not be open to the world, because this is not what my values are. So please don't tell me I have to be this or this way, okay? And then, well, we were driving, and we said, okay, let's have food together later. And then at some point he would still talk really normally, and he drank a bottle of wine, and I was sitting there, and it was already 1:30, and as in the afternoon I was crying. I was really tired, so I told him like, oh yeah, you know, I'm really tired, I kind of want to go now. And he kind of didn't want to leave right away. He was always trying to insist, saying like, oh, you know, kind of starting already inviting himself and saying, oh, you know, it's not so safe here, you can sleep here, I will just be outside and waiting and taking care. I was like, no, don't worry, I can do it, I've been doing van life for so long. And he started to kind of insist, but then he said like, oh, okay, but still didn't tried. And I felt really weird in this moment already, so I got really nervous. So he walked out to the neighbor's car, because there was another group of people standing there, and he asked them for a cigarette. And in the moment as he went out, I grabbed my pepper spray and hid it next to the door, like where my driver's seat, and hid it there. As I was sitting there, we were driving back to his place, because it was really late, and I was like, you know, I really want to be alone, I don't want to be with someone here. And I drove him back, and then he was really demanding, and he was like, oh, why don't you drive there first and you can turn around. I was like, why don't you go off? And then he said like, what, I helped you all day today, why can't you just do that for me? And I couldn't feel like I could say anything against it, because I felt already he was raising a little bit his voice and aggressiveness. So I did what he said, and then we drove around the corner, and then around about back to his house, because he wanted me to show me the parking that I could park, and said like, I don't want to park there. And then he showed me the round, and then we went past back again, almost close to his house. He's like, oh, you know, and it was already almost 3 o'clock. I was like, oh, I want to get some cigarettes. I was like, what, so late? And then he's like, yeah, just drive there, it's really close, I'll walk back. And we drove, and it just didn't stop. And in this moment I called Joao, because I was scared. I wanted him to be here, and I wanted him to hear me and just be there. So I talked to him, and so he could listen to everything that he said. And then he said, the guy, Hassan was his name, he said, give me the phone, I want to talk to him. So Hassan took the phone and said, I don't like you, because how can you let such a beautiful girl just doing this whole thing by her own in this dangerous country? And Joe was a bit perplexed and didn't know what was happening, but playing it off jokingly, but he already felt a weird vibe. So as I was driving, and he didn't say stop at any point for the cigarettes, and I was getting really nervous, because I wanted to sleep, I wanted him to get out of the car, and I was like, where do we have to go? And at some point later he stopped, because I was on the phone saying, I'm nervous, I just want to sleep. And Joe was saying like, hey dude, she did so much already, why don't you just let her go? And then we got back, and then he said to me, give me some money, because I spent it all day with you, I want to buy some cigarettes so I can get the taxi home. And I wanted to give him money, because I just wanted him to get out of the car, so I wanted to give him the money. But as I was looking in the car, my wallet was gone, and before we actually left the car, I had the wallet in my car. So the wallet was gone, and we were looking like crazy. And then he accused me that I was lying to him, that I didn't want to give him money, and pretended the wallet was stolen. And I was so nervous, crying and nervous, and I felt like he was saying all these things and I couldn't handle it anymore. So he was there putting so much pressure on me. And then at some point we were here searching and searching, nothing was there, and he took the phone, and Joel was still on the phone, calling and calling, and then he just like hang up the phone. I was like, and all that before he was always saying like, why don't you get a Moroccan camel, as a saying that I could have another boyfriend here, another boyfriend. Is like, no, I'm sorry, I don't want that kind of thing. I don't want to have anything, you know. And then he called me, and Jog was calling me, and the guy, he just turned off my phone, and I was like, please don't. He's like, please, you can't do things at the same time. And he was so demanding that I just couldn't say anything. I just wanted him to get out. And then at this point another guy came, but he was also just talking with him in Moroccan. I don't know what they talked about. They switched number and whatever, I don't know. And I was here trying to relax, and he was sitting here, and also like at some point I was trying to relax. I relaxed and said, okay, you know what, I'm really sorry. And all the time he was saying, why are you calling him anyway? He's a Portuguese guy. He's just probably sleeps around with so many other chicks, and all that stuff, you know, saying all these things towards him, trying to make me get upset about him or whatever, so I would hook up with him. I don't know what he wanted to do. But he just kept saying it, and at some point I just started to agree with him, because I just didn't want to make him more angry. So I was like, yeah, maybe you're right, but let's not talk about this now. Let's focus on the wallet. And at some point I got him again, because at some point he was angry at me, saying that I was a liar. And at some point I got him again to a level that he was like trusting me. So he was smiling and laughing again, and I was just really in shock. So as we were searching for the wallet, because all of my stuff are in there, I don't know how I can do the van life without getting money out of my bank account or anything. I just had enough fuel to drive back out of Morocco to drive here with half of the tank. So as he was there in this here with me, I was like, okay, maybe we can search the wallet, because I know he wouldn't leave. And at some point he was sitting on here trying to calm me and relax me, and he hugged me, he gave me a kiss on the forehead, all of that I didn't want, and he hugged me and then said, oh, come sit on my lap. And I just couldn't say, like, I just didn't know what to do. So at some point I just drove and said, like, please, let's go, I want to find the wallet. And I got him to that point that he started to trust me again. And as we drove back to that first parking spot that we went, I was like, oh, let's search. And he went to go to the toilet, like outside, to have a wee. So I locked the door already from the inside, but I was scared. I couldn't move. I don't know, I just felt like if you drive away he will chase you, because he was like a bit further than the car. But I was scared. I didn't know what to do. And then he knocked on my door again, so I opened the door again. I couldn't escape. As I opened the door, I said, oh, can you maybe wait outside? I want to do a wee in the van, because I have a little pod. And then at this moment, luckily, he said, okay, you take your time, I will be back in 10-15 minutes. Because he wanted to ask some people for the cigarettes. And before, the creepiest thing that he did, I'm sorry, as we were cleaning to find a wallet, he was also looking into my dirty clothes, and then he got an undie and just smelled on it, and I just didn't say anything because I was just scared. So, and then he left, and I was still really like in shock, in adrenaline. So I turned on my phone, I called Joel again. He was still awake waiting for me, and I called him and said what I'm supposed to do. And then he said, drive away. And then only then I could have the courage to drive away, because I was just so scared. So I waited till he was around the corner, and then I just took the car and drove out of the city. It was 3-4 o'clock, and I just kept driving till I said I want to be back in Spanish territory in this, I don't know where the harbor is in Africa, I forgot the name right now. But yeah, so now I'm here and I feel more relaxed now, And I just wanted to tell you all about this because I know you were all really, really worried. And I don't want to say that Morocco is a bad place, or that, but for me personally, I just couldn't be myself. The second day, I had to face all of the guys all the time, and being alone as a woman, that's what they do. I mean, that's what they do, no matter how much you dressed, how much you covered up. And I just feel like it's just not me. So I'm glad to say that nothing more happened, but I knew if I would stay in the car and not leave, he would come back and expect more, because before he was already preparing the bed and saying like lay down, and he wanted to push me like leaning towards him. And I always tried to reject him, and it's like, oh no, 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 and like pretending I was still so nervous about the wallet, which I was too, but you know, I just wanted him to get rid of him. So that's so much to it. And now I don't have my wallet. I don't know where it is. I just want to get back, and I probably have to go to Germany to get all my passes done, my credit cards and all the things, and then I'm gonna continue the trip, but in Europe, because it's not gonna stop me completely, but it's gonna stop me from my plans, at least alone in Africa, because I'm not saying it will happen again, but I'm saying I just don't want to feel so powerless as I felt today. That's it. And then I had to drive all the way back without money, and just crying my eyes out in front of the toll people, crying my eyes out in the people who do the check-in for the lines. I never want to put myself as a victim and getting pity for the behavior of this guy. I don't want pityness or anything. I just wanted to make you aware that this was what happened to me, and that you can maybe consider, out of my experience, your own decision if you ever want to do that or not doing that. But don't be afraid of van life in general. I'm saying that because don't let this story scare you off from the beautiful world that we are living in, okay? Because I know things like that will always somehow happen, and they are like such a big shock, because you know, that's the part of being the news. Only the shocking things remain in the head, and negative things just stay a bit longer in the head than the positive ones, or especially not longer, but they are more significant. So all I'm saying is, please don't let this story or anything scare you too much off from chasing your dreams, because no man should steal this from us the way girls or guys or whatever want to do this, okay? That's all I wanted to say. We gotta be strong, and I will be strong going through out of this. I made my experience, and I'm happy that not more happened. But I knew if I would stayed there, I don't know what would have happened. So, saying that, I just want to say thanks for listening, and bye.